I'm just gonna be honest. I get to here and I know I need the mental break, but I keep going because I'm ready to hit that deadline or get it done so I can just be over. It can be over, but I let it all the way rise and all the way rise and all the way rise. So it's just blown and it's like, okay, I'm done. Can't do no more. So when I get there, I say, okay, I need to be revived, refreshed, renewed. What do I do?
Hey guys, Cornell Jermaine here. Listen, so this episode, lately I've been talking a lot about entrepreneurship and just some tidbits that I've learned along the way, things that I've gained in my journey. And one of the things is how to manage exhaustion. So some of you may have dealt with exhaustion from the physical standpoint, meaning you go take a run or you do a lot of walking, or if you're traveling, going on a plane, getting off a plane, catching an Uber, going to your destination, you kind of get tired, physically exhausted. But there's another type of exhaustion that is mental exhaustion. And it happens a lot with people who are in entrepreneurial roles. Even people who are in employee roles that work for companies that require them to use their brain power. As an entrepreneur, business owner, somebody who has to think, strategize, critique, evaluate, analyze, it is very easy for you to be sitting at a desk in a chair 8 hours, not doing any physical activity. Maybe getting up, walking to the copier, walking to grab a fax. They're still fax, but you get the idea. You may walk over to say something to your coworker, go to a meeting in the boardroom, but you're not physically exerting yourself, like going on a run, walking a lot, standing, moving around. I've been in both places, and I can tell you that mental exhaustion is far more severe and exhausting than physical exhaustion. Working out, walking around, I work in production. There's a lot of movement. You're walking around here, standing here, and I mean standing for hours sometimes. Sometimes you can get a chair, sometimes you can't, depending on where you are. Moving around, moving here, going there. Physically exerting yourself, moving your hands. But I've also worked on the side where you're thinking, strategizing, critiquing, analyzing, all of those things. And the mental anguish that happens from having to use your brain power as an entrepreneur, business owner on a regular basis is so exhausting. And it can be debilitating if you're not careful. Like I have seen in my own life where you dealing with issues and problems that come up, having to take care of something, or just having to be a part of a vision or production that is great, but requires so much of you mentally that you have to figure out how you're going to make these pieces work and flow together. And in production, we deal with that a lot. And it can sometimes leave you just depleted to where you're like, I'm not doing anything. I don't even want to think right now. You barely have the energy to chew. How do we deal with that in entrepreneurship? And it happens in every level. Don't think just because a person is successful, has money, has proven strategy or concept, and it's now returning a dividend called funds, money, revenue, that they don't have to think, strategize, analyze, critique, etc. The mental anguish, the mental energy, I should say, that you put into a business, whether you're the employer or just a part of the team, is something that will exhaust you mentally. But how do we handle that? First of all, this is something that I've implemented for myself. So I'm not telling you something I read, although there are many books, articles, blogs about it, but this is what I've tried for myself and it works. So I'm bringing you what works for me. Try it, see if it works for you. But the first thing you want to do, if you're in your day, you're having to deal with a lot of things, phone calls, emails, conversations, got to prepare for a meeting, got to do this, got to do that, got team members coming at you, got staff that's looking for you, got supervisors or superiors that need you. All of this is happening. You're managing all of that mentally and sometimes physically at one time. At some point, you have to say, okay, I need to take a mental break. That is the first technique that I have implemented. Take a mental break. When you feel it, and you'll know when you're in those moments where it's getting like, okay, it's rising, and things are just getting, the pressure's getting heavy, and you're just like, okay, it's becoming a bit too much. When it starts to get to that level, don't let it blow. When it gets to about right here, take a mental break. What does that look like? Just stop. Stop. If you're at a window and you have an office with a window or you have a view or something, go look out the window. Just stop and breathe for a minute. Stop and refocus and come back. You'll notice that those just couple of minutes, because I'm not talking about just taking a 20-30 minute break going to eat lunch. No, I'm talking about like just 2 to 3 minutes where you just stop it and just say, put it down for a second. gather yourself, take some breath, focus on something else. So don't sit and continue to look at the screen or continue to sit in the meeting. Walk away from that is feeling exhausting or that's taking the mental stress from you. So if you're working by yourself at a computer or you're working in a group or something, sometimes you'll remove yourself from that group or take yourself or your attention away from that device and focus on something else. Obviously something that might bring some relief for a moment. 2-3 minutes of that, return back to whatever you're doing. Sometimes it could be just going to the water cooler and getting a cup of water, or going to the kitchenette and getting a cup of coffee and say, okay, I'm gonna go make me a cup of coffee. And that is an opportunity for you to regather yourself mentally and reposition yourself so that you don't blow, okay? The second thing that I've implemented is to find what inspires you and implement it often. So what do I mean by that? I'm inspired by biographies. So I'm inspired by learning other people's stories. So I often, when I feel those moments have arise, and sometimes I don't take the mental break, I'm just gonna be honest. I get to hear, and I know I need the mental break, but I keep going because I'm ready to hit that deadline or get it done so I can just be over. It can be over, but I let it all the way rise and all the way rise and all the way rise. So it's just blown, and it's like, okay, I'm done, can't do no more. So when I get there, I say, okay, I need to be revived, refreshed, renewed. What do I do? For me, I go watch biographies. There are certain people that I'm fascinated by their life, their story, their career, their trajectory, and I get inspired by listening to their journey. Other things that inspire me is nature. So often in the summertime, especially when we were working from home, I would go take a break and I would just go walk or ride my bike. That inspired me, refreshed me, renewed me, regenerated me, so that when I returned back to the task at hand, I was able to almost start off with a fresh start, and it almost felt like, oh, okay, I needed that. That's the second thing I do. Find what inspires you and implement it often. Now, I'm not saying waste your time to do it, but if you know you're in that moment and you need something just to give you that extra motivation, look to that inspiration that works for you. And whatever that is, that might be going cooking. I know a lot of people where cooking is a release or a stress reliever or inspiring, just relaxing. I use the word inspiration, and yes, you want it to inspire you, but ultimately it's just supposed to relax you and spiritually renew you. Some people may meditate. You may sit still and meditate. Some people may pray. Some people may listen to music. Whatever it is, find what that is that inspires you in your soul and implement it often, especially in those moments of mental stress and anguish. The third thing is eat well. I know, and I'm a foodie, so I want you to get this. I'm a foodie, so I love food, and I'm not trying to pretend like I'm a health nut and all I eat is chew kale and spinach. No, I like food. But I noticed the difference in my ability or the way I can handle the pressure or mental stress that comes with doing what I do. I notice it's not as good when I'm eating burgers and fries, which ain't bad. You know what I mean? Or fried chicken and roasted potatoes. You get what I'm saying? I noticed that I'm much more alive and able to withstand the pressure when I'm having maybe a good salad with some grilled chicken or a cup of yogurt with nuts and seeds and blueberries and all that good stuff. So what I had to learn to do is implement that diet that keeps me energized on a cellular level more often, in order for me to be able to manage the tasks at hand. So you want to eat well. Eat well. Now that may be different for everybody, but obviously when I say eat well, I'm saying eat a balanced, healthy diet. That's what I mean by that. The fourth thing, prioritize your tasks. This is something that has become just a habit for me, just knowing what I need to get done at a certain time and knowing what is priority or needs my attention. And sometimes that is not the email. Sometimes that is not the text message. Most times it's not the email or the text message. Most times it's whatever deadline, project, etc. that you're working on that really needs your attention. The emails can be distractions. The text messages, the phone calls sometimes can be distractions. So identify what is necessary and what needs your attention, and then you give your full attention to those tasks at the most optimum time of the day for you. For some people that's in the morning, other people that may be afternoon, other people that may be evening. Depending on your work schedule, the way you work, how you flow, it determines how you do that. But focus on those things initially in your workday. And when you focus on those first, they typically will give you the energy to fulfill the other tasks, like responding to a quick email, quick text message, calling so-and-so back. If you prioritize your task, it helps to relieve you of what may feel like a dooming to-do list. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, this section is critical. You're going to take care of those first, and then everything else falls in line under that. So prioritizing your tasks for the day and for the project. You can do this for the day, and you can do this for the length of a project. If you're working on a project that's going to require multiple days, you'll prioritize the tasks based on what needs to be done first within the length of time that you have that project. Next and final is something simple. We've heard it before, but I'm gonna say it again. Know your limits. What do I mean by that? You got to know when to say no. You got to know when to say, okay, I can't, I'm not, I can't, I won't. And it's not personal. Sometimes people will take it personal, but you have to know your limits, because if you don't know your limits, people will pull on you, stretch you thin, and you will be frayed. Mentally speaking. I'm not even talking about just physical, I'm talking about mentally speaking. If you think mental exhaustion is horrible, if you ever get to the point where you feel frayed mentally, it is something totally different. I've been there. That's why I had to start implementing these steps, because I've been to that frayed, thin spot. And it's like, you're just walking it as like a zombie. You know what I mean? You're in the world, but you're like, you feel like you're having an outer body experience because your mind is just at capacity, you're thin. And it's like, you do tasks and you don't even know you got them done, because it's just, everything's on autopilot because your mind is just overwhelmed. You don't want to get there. If you start implementing the word no, N-O, and I'm not saying to be mean, and this is across the board. This is in your professional life and your personal life. Sometimes you can't pick up that phone call because you know girlfriend like to talk and gossip and chit chat, and you are in the middle of a task and you need to get it done, or you're just stretched thin and you just need to refresh yourself and you don't have the energy to put into a conversation. You get what I'm saying? Because some people think just because you're on the phone that it does not require anything of you. Even if you're just listening, you might be that listening ear to your friends, family, etc. You're the person that they just call to vent, or just to talk, or just to shoot the breeze, or just to get their take. So you might not do a lot of physical talking, but just taking in the energy of listening requires something of you, not only emotionally, but mentally. And even if you say 2 to 3 words on the conversation and the person on the other end talks and does all the talking, it's pulling energy from who you are and what you could be getting done in that moment. So you have to say no. That is no to sometimes tasks. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? That is no sometimes to messages, or somebody just wanted to chit chat or wanted to get your attention on the telephone. That is no sometimes to yourself when you say, I want to do this, but I know if I do this, it's going to exhaust me here. I'm not going to have enough energy to do that. So sometimes you just got to say no to yourself and say, no, I can't go today, or I didn't go to food with that today, or I'm not going to eat that today. No will help you preserve your mental energy and your physical energy so that you can be the best you can be, both for your business and for your life. Although I'm speaking within the context of business and entrepreneurship, this is useful just for you in your everyday life. Say no. Okay? Prioritize your tasks. So if you know you got to cook, wash your dishes first. Don't try to wash your dishes and cook. Then you end up burning the food and breaking up the good china. Just wash your dishes first. Then you got a clean kitchen, a clean stove that you can go and cook the meal on, okay? Prioritize your task. What else do we have? Eat well. So when you cook something healthy. Find what inspires you to implement it often. And finally, take mental breaks. Implement these strategies, and I guarantee you it will help relieve some of that stress that's on you, whether it be professional or personal. This is Cornell Jermaine. I thank you so much for joining me here. Listen, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again real soon. Take care.